Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. Hello and welcome. I am Bhuvan and you are with Editorial Edge, Daily News Analysis. That StudyIQ IAS English has just started. We are just past the first week after we have commenced this particular series. And in this series, again, for the uninitiated, the whole agenda is to expose the student, to expose the viewer to as many types of articles, but in depth. Okay. So whatever news articles that we get, we go to the very depth of it, from the prelims to the interview perspective. All of that is covered. And we also do a lot of questions, model questions, previous year questions, mock questions. All of that is done to essentially aid your understanding and mastery of that particular subject. Okay. Once again, I welcome each one of you who's joining me live. And again, all those, hi, Coder SD, good morning, welcome. And all those again who will be watching this throughout the course of the day and in the days after. All right. So on the agenda, because I have limited amount of time, so we'll just straight away jump into the topics that I have for you. So these are the topics. Firstly, we are going to talk about crops. Today's actually a lot of the class will be focused on, in the sense, agriculture and geography. Okay. And again, if you have seen the recent papers, it's for good measure. You know, agriculture, geography, these are the favorite topics. You can never go wrong being well prepared in these kind of topics. Okay. So we'll go with the first one, that is to do with the MSP that government has announced recently, yesterday in fact. Yesterday evening it was announced. So we'll look at what Kharif crops are, what Rabi crops are, what the problem with Indian agriculture is. All of that you've always heard and read about, but you can't seem to remember. Okay. It always escapes your mind. Whenever you asked a particular question, well, you have to go back. Well, we'll figure out. We'll see what can be done about agriculture and how to make sure that you have a comprehensive understanding of the whole sector. Okay. And second is to do with the aerial survey and remote sensing of 4 districts in Bihar, in fact. So there are 4 sites in 4 districts of Bihar, and they are looking to identify magnetite-bearing rocks and ultramafic rocks. You know, whenever I see these kind of articles, rocks, agriculture, I just know by instinct that I have to read it, because again, it's something that no one probably appreciates the whole width and the whole spectrum of these topics. Okay, it's always considered boring to read these topics, but then it's interesting. If you just look at the whole sector is set up, say the agriculture sector, it's very interesting and enlightening to understand about it. And at the same time, rocks. Who doesn't like rocks after all? Okay. And thereafter, we have finally the order of the day. We'll look at some mains questions and some good amount of model questions, multiple choice questions. Fine. So let's just straight jump into the first topic of the day. So, but before you do, this is my official Telegram channel. Again, I don't want to overstate this, but I don't want to spam here. Okay. This is a group where we just discuss, or at least I put forward all the PDFs of the lectures, any interesting article that catches my attention, and at the end of the week, a comprehensive PDF is provided with, say, all the topics that we have discussed throughout the week, as well as some important articles that you ought to be reading. So that's given every Sunday morning. And thereafter, multiple choice questions are going to be shared. You are going to look at trend analysis, answer sheets, and specifically analysis sheets. That's being prepared. That will also be shared. So if you want access to all of that, and obviously the first information of the forthcoming topics, the first information of the forthcoming sessions, please do consider scanning the barcode behind me and joining my Telegram channel. I look forward to hosting all of you. All right. So with that, we jump into the topic of the day. So firstly, let's look at this mains question first. Okay. Let's look at the mains question first, because obviously, if you are able to answer this in detail, it essentially means that you have your fundamental blocks in place. Okay. So let's look at the mains question first. An economically viable agricultural sector is required to fully harness India's capability. Discuss the challenges in achieving economic viability and suggest corrective measures. So how do you make your agriculture economically viable? How do you make it profitable for the farmer? At the same time, how do you not, say, overcharge your consumer? Okay. Because eventually it's a delicate balance that you have to maintain. You have to protect the interests of the farmers vis-a-vis the interests of the consumers. And if one's interest is hampered, then obviously it's a domino effect. Okay, so it's a very delicate balance. Firstly, this whole pricing of commodities, this relationship between agriculture sector and us, the consumers. Okay, so we look at that. What are the challenges to say maintain this delicate balance? What are the problems essentially with say Indian agricultural system? Okay, what is the government doing about it? We'll learn all of that, and obviously we'll look at say some certain future way ahead. There has to be a strategy to basically make sure that Indian agriculture becomes say more important and capable of fulfilling the nutritional needs of the country. Food security, okay? National food security is a huge prerogative, huge agenda. So agriculture's delicate role in making sure that national food security is also taken care of. So many linkages here, we'll learn all of that. So this is the mains question. Again, if any of you would like to answer this question or probably would like some pointers as to how to approach this question, well, obviously the lecture will hold you in good stead. But at the same time, please do consider joining the Telegram channel. I will be discussing solutions to particular questions that will help aid your understanding. Okay. And the second is obviously a previous year question. A previous year UPSC question, the best source to understand what you are supposed to learn, how you are supposed to learn, and how much you are supposed to learn. Okay. So consider the following crops: cotton, groundnut, rice, wheat. Which of these are kharif crops? So again, first the basic understanding that you ought to be knowing is what are rabi crops, what are kharif crops, and what are zaid crops. The most fundamental of information. After you know what the Indian cropping pattern, the cropping system is, only then probably you can attempt to answer this, and thereafter probably you can understand this. Okay, so let's start from the basics now. Let's start from the very beginning, quickly. So well, for those of you again who do not know what Rabi, Kharif, Zaid is, well, these are cropping patterns. This is the kind of seasonality of cropping that you have in India. So you'll ask me now, what seasonality? Okay, what determines which crop is sown when? First, the most fundamental question. So the most fundamental answer to that is that our whole cropping pattern, the way what we sow, where we sow, when we sow, okay, when we harvest, where we harvest, all of that is essentially based on our relationship with the monsoons. Okay, so monsoon essentially is the primary factor behind all of this information. First, you have to understand that. Now let's look at Rabi crops. When are they sown? Okay, October to December. And when are they harvested? Well, right about now, April to June, which is why the government has announced the MSP yesterday. Okay. Thereafter, water supply, rains due to temperate cyclones. Okay. Crops, you have wheat, barley, peas, grams, all mustard. 5 crops essentially, all categorized under Rabi crops. And where are they grown? Well, obviously the places where you find the green revolution essentially happen. Say Punjab, Haryana. Thereafter, it's obviously gone ahead throughout the country. Uttar Pradesh has come in. Okay, Jammu, Kashmir, Uttarakhand, all of that. But green revolution, that's the first relationship you understand. Thereafter, you have Kharif crops, for which again yesterday night's MSP, because they are going to be sown, which means the government wants to give assurance to the farmers that okay, go ahead, sow your seeds now, and I am promising you such a basic level of pay or a basic level of amount of money when you will be harvesting it. So when will the farmers be harvesting the Kharif? If they are sowing it right now, which means the crop is coming in the next 3-4 months. Okay, so that's why it's a logical relationship. No? Now you will understand why is government announcing MSP. Okay, so straight away, take into consideration the monsoon. You must have heard recently. Good, Coda. Good. Excellent answer. Brilliant. Good. So you must have heard recently that monsoons are at the threat of being hampered negatively this year. You know, El Nino is being forecast already. So now think from the perspective of a farmer or an agriculturist. You already have read the news because again, internet is there, radio, television, everything is there. They are also aware. Okay, they have their own information systems also. So they are aware that okay, rainfall is going to be affected this year. Now, if that affects their decision-making ability in terms of what to sow, when to sow, or if not at all to sow, probably do something else. Okay? If these are options on the table, straight away the national security in terms of food security is being hampered. Okay? So the government has to step in. It has to say, you know what, go ahead, I give you an assurance that whatever be the outcome, when the crops are harvested, for this particular crop, I'll give you this much money. For that particular crop, the minimum amount that I owe or I will give you is this much money. Straight away as a farmer, you are assured that, okay, in spite of the fact that monsoons might hamper or there might be natural vagaries involved, at least I will get my money back or probably make a good margin on it, in fact. If you look at the margin cost that is given to farmers over and above what the input cost is. So now just a couple of things before we get all to this. This is obviously factual, but let's just understand this first. So an agriculturist has an input cost. What is the input cost? The price of the seed, the fertilizer, say the irrigation charges that he's having to bear, the transportation costs that he might have to bear after the harvest is done. All of these are what? Input costs that add to the cost of the farmer's product. Okay? So the government says essentially that go ahead and I will give you an MSP that will not just cover this will be covered, plus I will also give you a margin over it. Okay? I shall give you a margin over the input cost that you have. So in this year particular, just last night, the Kharif crops MSP that was announced by the government, the highest MSP in terms of covering both input cost and margin is for bajra. Okay? It's for bajra. So a farmer essentially stands to make close to 82% above the input costs for, say, harvesting bajra. Again, it is to also probably, one might also understand we are going through the International Year of Millets, Shri Anna. So the government wants to prioritize that more and more farmers go ahead and say harvest and say sow bajra, ragi, jowar, all of that. Okay? So this is it. The government not just covers your input cost, the government also gives you a certain margin. Make it more lucrative. After all, there are many opportunities. You must have also heard that say from small towns and villages, now youth is migrating to urban centers. So someone's father or grandfather might have been a farmer, but then this generation doesn't want to do that. There are better opportunities. So what happens eventually? That more and more people, if they're drawn out from there, you don't want a situation where there is a lack of, crunch of resources. So to make sure that it is lucrative business, because you need people to innovate, to come up with research and develop methods. So for that, to hold back the population, the government also gives MSP. Obviously, to make sure that the farmer is secure, but also to make sure that agriculture remains lucrative as a profession. Okay? So this is the Kharif crop essentially. Water supply coming currently in the next 2 months that monsoons are going to arrive, and the crops, paddy, maize, jawar, obviously like I told you, since the price for these have been 82% above the input cost. So obviously all of bajra, jawar, ragi is in Kharif crops. Soya, cotton, jute, fine. Now, in terms of rice, couple of things that you need to know now. Okay? Os, Aman and Boro. Again, just remember this is NCERT stuff, but it serves you well if you know all of this. So in these two particular states, 3 types of rice is grown called Os, Aman and Boro. Okay? Depending on the time when they are sown and when they are harvested. So some questions might ask you, Os, Aman and Boro are types of what crop? Okay, 4 options. So straight away you know that it is to do with rice. Okay, it is to do with paddy. Fine. And then you have Z, which is essentially the horticultural crops, which are between the intervening period between Rabi and Kharif crops. This is again well-known NCERT stuff. The whole water supply for them is through irrigation. Make a note of this, guys. Straight away when you realize which water supply feeds which crops, you will remember that Rabi rely on temperate crops, Kharif on monsoons, and Zaid through irrigational canals and all of that. groundwater probably also. Okay. Once you know the water supply for individual crops, you know straight away which crop belongs where, you will know after that. Okay. Fine. Let's go forward and now let's look at the topic of the day that I have for you. Fine. Let's look at the topic. Interesting topic today, and the question that we're looking to address is this. An economically viable agricultural sector is required to fully harness India's capability. We are looking to address the challenges and we are looking to come up with methods, ways in which we can address those challenges. So first one, obviously we have to ask ourselves this question: why should agriculture be viable? Now obviously straight away you must have known livelihood. In fact, it is often estimated that a major part of the working population, okay, some estimates say 50%, okay, some say 66%, but then a major part of the population is directly or indirectly related with, say, agriculture or ancillary activities related to agriculture, related sectors, say you have, okay. So now please understand this also. Why do you think this number shifts? Why is it that there is no fair number? Because again, agriculture is something where people come and go. You must be aware. You must, if you have not, speak to people around you firstly. You will know that a large amount of, many people in fact, so they have a full-time job probably in the cities, okay, where they'll be working as, say, a guard, a night watchman, whatever, service industry, they'll be posted somewhere. And then for probably 15 days in a month, the person will take a leave to go back to his village, क्योंकि धान काटना है. ठीक है? He is going to go and harvest whatever he's sown. So again, for a limited amount of time, the person is with the agriculture industry. Then once he's harvested, he's back again to his primary job, which is why this number also shifts a lot. Okay. Number two, like I told you, food security. If you are not aware, well, in India's history, there was a point when we had to, in fact, ask for grains from other countries. Okay. Just before Green Revolution, in fact. This was the whole situation in the country, that we were underprepared in terms of food security. Forget nutritional security and all of that. Just having food to eat was a problem. So obviously you need a very robust agriculture sector. Again, 140 million of us. If you don't feed people food, they tend to get angry. You don't want 140 million people, angry people, right? So food security again important. Rural development, obviously. You have money going in. You have, say, processes that are set up in villages and the rural sectors. The whole agriculture sector is dominated by the rural sector. So if agriculture is to do well, essentially, there will be a knock-off effect. If you invest in agriculture, the knock-off effect of that will be seen in the areas around the fields, in, say, the small towns and villages. Okay. Obviously, that will happen. Think for a moment that you own a field in some hinterland of India. You have a crop that you want to sow, you harvest it. Now you need to basically get it to the market. Okay. And now that you see that there are better organizations like FPOs, okay, farmer producing organizations. So a collective of farmers get together, pool in their resources and say, okay, now we are a collective, we are a group, and we will negotiate as a group. We will cut our costs, transportation costs from that particular field to, say, the nearest mandi. Roads will be built, infrastructure, okay. More and more companies will come to source your products. Again, people coming in, hotels will be set up, more industry coming up. Food processing centers will be set up, right? Cold storages will come up. So much of infrastructure will come up just because one person decided to form a FPO, or a group of farmers decided that, well, they have a bargaining power now. So this is why agriculture is important. Knock-off effect on the rural infrastructure. Massive, massive upgrade happens every time. Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, I did not see the chat, but okay. Thank you for joining, and I hope all of you are regular. Stay with me and it will benefit you a lot. Okay. Finally, contribution to the GDP. Look at it. 20% of the GDP, 1/5 of the GDP comes from agriculture. Obviously, you have to completely go all out in securing this particular sector. Obviously, when you talk of agri, you have to talk about the ancillary sectors also. Beekeeping, fishery, and say processing industries, all of that are ancillary sectors related to agriculture. Okay. So this is, now that we have established that why agriculture is important. Okay. Now that we know this, let's go ahead and understand the challenges. So what are the challenges? Straight away, first one, NCERT knowledge. Since childhood, you have been knowing this. Okay. So many reasons why Indians or India has small land holdings. Okay. Land is essentially linked to the social structure of the Indian community. And so that obviously has a knock-off effect. Okay. So small land holdings, the more smaller, in spite of whatever you input, the crop limit will be same, the amount will be same. However, if you had a larger land, well, in spite of having the same input cost, you will be able to sow more. You will be able to harvest more. Imagine this. Now, you'll ask me, how are input costs same for, say, a small land holding and a big land holding? For example, you have this small land holding and this big land holding. So, how are input costs same for these two, you might ask? Eventually, you are going to have to put fertilizer in this. Eventually, you are going to have to add nutrients, fortify your soil. All of this costs money. Now, the market is not going to give you customized packets that, okay, since your farm is only this small, so here, take 100 grams. No, that's not going to happen. Eventually, the customization of input products has not been done, which means the costs remain the same, whether you invest in a small land holding or in a big land holding. However, the output, from here you have only, say, X dash, here you have, say, far better amount than, say, Z. Z will always be greater than X, in spite of the fact that your input costs are the same. Okay. So, which is why you need to have, if land consolidation and all of that happens, it will serve the industry very well. Okay. Because essentially you are playing with costs here. The lesser your costs are, the more profit margin you have. The less hassle it is to just get your stuff to the market. Okay. Thereafter, let's look at the next one. Lack of access to credit and market. A lot has been done. Okay, agreed. A lot has been done. And what is credit essentially? To give the farmer capital to invest in his agricultural product. Because he is not going to have, say, liquid cash. He will not pay out of his pocket and then, say, go buy the raw material required for his land holding. He needs financial support. Often than not, what happens? For financial support, they turn to the unorganized credit sector. These local credit mafias, you might understand. So they will have a disproportionate amount of influence there. They'll be like, no, why are you going to the bank? I'll give you, we are better, we are friends for life, brothers for life. But once the crop fails, that brother for life becomes your enemy for life. Okay. That does not happen with, say, when a farmer goes to a bank. More often than not, the bank will actually help the farmer in probably having a payment readjustment plan or probably waive off the loan altogether. Like, okay, fine, no problems. So, it's always better that you have organized credit for the farmer. Similarly, after it has been harvested, you need markets. Perishable items, no? The more you keep them out in the open, the more the chances of the crop going bad, the produce going bad. So you quickly need to move it to the cold storage or probably the market. Sell it off or store it. Two options for the farmer. So this has to be ensured. Obviously, again, this is a work in progress. You will see a lot has been done, but then there's a long way ahead. We are a big country. Okay. And this is prime importance. Yesterday's class, we discussed about loss and damages again. For those of you who haven't, may I request you, go ahead and have a look at the 7th June class, where we discussed loss and damage in threadbare in detail. And so climate change is going to probably lead to this. A lot of this is going to be factoring in terms of agriculture. Crops are going to fail. Weather patterns are changing. Okay. You suddenly have drought in the most unexpected seasons. Rain happens when you don't expect it at all. Okay. So I remember when 2014-15. So one day in Delhi, there was this fantastic weather. Winters, okay. Fantastic weather. And it was raining, So one of my friends commented, oh, what brilliant weather. Oh, so nice, brilliant it is. And so another of my friends, whose father was a farmer, he said, you know what? Right now, while you are enjoying, my family will be mourning because our crops are going bad. So think of that moment, that heaviness of that moment. So essentially climate change is going to play a lot, and this loss and damage concept wherein state or probably organizations, someone has to come and compensate the farmer for the loss that has happened for something unexpected as the climate change. Okay. Marketing, you have goods, you need to get it to the market, you need to publicize your product. Today, if you go to Amazon, small example I'll give you. If you go to amazon.com, so you'll find, if you just type ghee, okay, you will find many, say obviously the big FMCG companies, they'll have their product. And then many are there who are probably ghee producers, say from Karnataka, or someone from say Maharashtra, or someone from say Bihar. Small organizations that are now on platforms. So look at this, straight away from the farm to your plate. How is that happening? Because marketing is involved. They got involved with Amazon. Okay. Amazon gave them a delivery route, transport taken care of, packaging done. So this chain is important, that there should be a direct link between me, the consumer, and the farmer. Someone who's working, toiling hard, should be able to get a fair price for the effort he or she has put in. So this is important. Marketing is of extreme importance for farmers, especially when you're looking at the farm to plate relationship. Okay. Next, lack of literacy. Okay. In spite of the fact that, well, again, a massive Saksharta Abhiyan has been also done. Okay. Adult education has also been given, primary education has been given, all of that has happened. But then you need more and more information for them, because no amount of information is too much for them to realize. Their work is not just, say, you and I working on, say, a particular project and when it's done, it's done. Their work is linked to their survivability as well as our survivability, which is why it is best essential to fortify them with all information that you can give them. Okay. So literacy is important. At the same time, digital literacy, because again, if they have to go online, if they have to do this correctly, if they have to do this correctly, there needs to be an element of digital literacy involved. You can't have someone completely digitally illiterate or not aware and then open themselves to, say, cyber fraud or security risks. Okay. So digital literacy is important. This, as much as it's a challenge, it's again an opportunity for India to invest in their own resources. Say water irrigation probably can be fortified. Recycling of water can be done. Some way or the manner, India needs to take this as an opportunity. This will always remain as a challenge, guys. This is a geographical challenge that you can't change away. You can work on all of these except this and this. These three you can't do anything about. So you have to adapt. Yesterday again, we discussed in the class for 7 June, the difference between adaptation and mitigation. So the farmers need to be empowered. They need to be adapted. Give them the power of adaptation, as well as help them mitigate against the future risks. Okay. So that is important. Use these words whenever you are discussing, say, challenges. Okay. It shows that you understand the crux of the problem. Okay. Yes, of course, growing industrialization, breakdown of family systems. There are so many reasons, guys, why small land holdings exist in our country. Okay. So that's, again, like I told you, it's not a very simple problem. It's a very complex problem, especially when you consider the fact that land it's intrinsic to every individual. Everyone wants a piece of land. It's almost linked to the social capital a person has or the social survivability of a person. Okay. So unless that, again, it's a massive problem. We'll discuss this some other day, the problem with land holdings. But for today, just let's limit our understanding to, say, the basic challenge for Indian agriculture obviously originates from this also. Okay, fine. Now that we have understood the challenges, now let's look at what Bharat Sarkar has done. So first one, obviously, very important from the exam point of view, this SHC, the Soil Health Card Scheme. Okay. It provides information about two things, nutrient content and fertility status of soil. Please make sure that soil becomes a primary part of your preparation, guys. Very, very important. Okay. If you look at the trends, say Prime Minister's speeches, or say scripts of Man Ki Baat, or government policy, or even that Sadhguru also, he undertook a big journey for soil conservation. I saw his Ducati bike somewhere, I remember. Anyways, soil becomes very important. So make sure you consume a lot of information about soil, especially the basics. Keep them very clear. What is topsoil, this soil, that soil, laterite soil, all of that NCERT you have to do firstly in thoroughly. Thereafter, look at the government policies and make sure you understand the challenge of erosion of soil. What exactly are we looking at? So all of us must know in detail about, say, what will happen if bees die. We have read so much about it and we have studied so much about it, I'm sure. Okay, if bees go extinct, we will go extinct. That's the correlation directly. What happens if soil goes away? Do you understand? So this again is a massive topic. I plan on doing this probably. We'll do this someday very quickly. But yes, soil health card is to do with these two things, nutrient content and the fertility status. So it enables the person to take informed decisions, reduces costs straight away. It promotes integrated nutrient management. This whole policy essentially looks to promote this through judicious use of chemical fertilizers, secondary and micronutrients, and organic manures. Okay, it's looking at a judicious use, not completely outbanning, say, the chemical fertilizers, but using them sparingly in lesser amounts, focusing more on organic nutrients, on biofertilizers. Okay. There is obviously an existence of provision for soil testing. A farmer, in fact, can send a part of his soil from his field for testing. It comes back, the result comes back. It essentially says, you know what, you need to add these things. You should not add these things. Okay. It's like a report card of his soil that the farmer is provided with. Again, what is happening here? Informed decisions. So if he knows that, well, his soil is already rich in terms of, say, fertilizers, so lesser fertilizer, reduce costs. Okay. Soil health card is essential in terms of creating awareness for the farmer. Before, you were like, you just didn't have any idea. Traditional knowledge, whatever you had, passed down through generations that, okay, son, when this happens, do this. But obviously, that traditional knowledge probably does not include the knowledge about climate change, probably does not include the information about, say, drought management, water-resistant varieties, all of that. That knowledge has to be supplemented with scientific knowledge, which comes from soil health card scheme and soil testing of the particular soil. Fine. Okay. Next one, quickly just recap. Bima Yojana, the PM Fasal Bima Yojana for crop insurance, financial support in the event of crop loss or damage, both. Okay. Crop loss, that the crop has failed. Crop damage, that the crop was due to be harvested, but then something happened and the crop was damaged. Okay. There's two things, crop failure and crop damage. Two things, guys. Both it covers. Okay. You're looking at natural calamities. Fine. Then you have Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. This is to do with irrigation. Sinchai is irrigation. Irrigation investments, you're looking at ways such as precision irrigation, drip water farming and all of that. Okay. Precision irrigation, water saving techniques, all of that is done to increase the farm productivity. Efficiency, the point is that as efficient as you make your farming products and your process, the easier it is for the farmers. Then the farmer can probably have money to spare for other traditional investments, in terms of making his field rich. So that's what you want to do, that as far as possible, empower the farmers. Okay. Then you have an ENAM, agricultural market. You must know about this. What's the difference between ENAM and GEM? What's the difference? Let me know. Electronic trading portal, again, where networks the existing agricultural product marketing committee mandis to create a market. Remember, I had told you the challenge for this was marketing here. So ENAM seeks to address that. That farmers have a platform where they can go and market their products now. Okay. Have a look. If you haven't, go have a look. It's all there online. You can have a look, in fact, for yourself of all of this. And then finally come to this, because this is important, guys. Make a note of this, please. Okay. Make a note of this. The rest you will hear on a day-to-day basis in the newspaper articles. This you will not, and you will forget. You will get confused. Okay. So the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, what does it seek to do essentially? Enhance agri-productivity given, especially in rain-fed areas. Okay. Where you are focusing on integrated farming, water use efficiency, soil health management, and synergizing resource conservation. So sustainability gives it away, no? If something has to be sustainable, it needs to be long-term. So all of these are long-term uses. Okay. Integrated farming, yes, long-term. Water use, sure. Soil health, sure. Resource, soil, sure. So again, why am I telling you this? This keyword is important. Even if you do not know the answer to the question, say in the examination, obviously previously when you did not have the options the way they were this year, you could at least figure out that anything that is sustainable has to look at the long-term perspective. Okay. Anything that it will be always looking at the far perspective. So straight away, look at all of these long-term perspectives. So this has completely two particular categorizations, guys. Have a look. Rain-fed area management and soil health management. Two particular categories the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture looks at. So one, rain-fed, focuses on integrated farming system, minimizing risks associated with climatic variabilities. Whereas soil health management, like I told you, soil health management includes residue management, organic farming, linking soil fertility maps. In fact, go ahead and have a look. There are soil fertility maps also that you will find now. Okay. There's a gov.in website. I think it's called, forget the name. Go and have a look. You'll find which state has the highest fertile amount of soil, which state has a lot of wasteland. All of that is there available. So have a look. I'll obviously share that information with you only if you promise to come to my Telegram channel. Okay, fine. Now let's look at the way forward, guys, quickly. What is the way forward? What needs to be done to make sure that agriculture remains economically viable for us? Number one, all of that is happening in the digital realm, AI, this, that, all of that. It needs to be percolating in the agriculture sector also. And so one way to do that is provide full stack solutions. Now, what are full stack solutions? Full stack solutions essentially mean that right from the seed to the harvest and then to the market, okay, there is a platform or an app or a method or an organization which takes care of all of this. Okay. It provides continuous hand-holding to the farmer that, okay, listen, take this seed. It is cost effective, it will give you the same yield, and nutritionally it is also fortified. Thereafter, once the whole fertilizer and input costs come, it provides again guidance. So this full stack solution needs to be done on an urgent basis, which is why this is happening anyways. Digitalization of agriculture is going to become a reality in the coming days, for sure. Okay, and you will see organizations come up, guys. You will see, in fact, they are already existing also. But on a national scale, it will happen very soon, that you will have particular companies or houses or organizations, entities, whatever way you want to look at it. They will provide this kind of hand-holding right from the choice of seeds to the market or mandi that you should take your product to, and making sure that you have taken care of marketing, you have taken care of input costs, you have taken care of, say, insurance, all of that. A one-stop solution will be provided to the farmer. Okay? Right, correct. Okay, promote integrated plus natural farming. Quite understood. There's not a lot of difference here. What is natural farming, guys? What is natural farming? Quickly let me know in the chat. In natural farming, do you use chemical fertilizers? Do you do that? Let me know. So natural farming, you do not use chemical fertilizers, okay? It's only to do with locally available and sustainable organic manure. Whereas in integrated, you have agri plus all that livestock and livelihood and all of that. Okay, cow and goat and all of that you will have integrated farming. Okay, climate smart agricultural practices. Look at this, nano urea. How much amount is needed for particular sapling or particular crop? Give it that much only to the place where it is needed. Don't give go around throwing urea like this. Give the amount that it is required. Tuck, 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 tuck. Drip irrigation, like channelized, focused water on the particular crop. You are essentially cutting down on the wasteful expenditure of resources. Correct? Green farming, good, good. Yes, organic farming. Natural farming is organic farming. You don't use anything chemical at all. Now this, link farmer to the market. Think of yourself. If you were a farmer, if you knew that, well, I have MSP, good. If I know where my product is going to, good. If my product is already publicized on platforms, including eNAM, Amazon, wherever you want to think of it, good. It's already, the whole system is, you know the destiny of the crop that you are going to harvest. Always a better thing to have. So it links the farmer to the market. Empower the FPOs, the farm producing organizations. Okay. These have the power of collective leverage. A group of farmers saying, you know what, unless you give us these terms and conditions, we will go on to some other player in the market. Power lies with the collective group. If the farmers are able to do this collectively, which the FPOs do, obviously it's good for the sector. Because an individual farmer, can be exploited, okay? Because the person is not literate, the person may not know how much negotiation is to be done, what kind of negotiation is to be done. FPOs will come. Oh, it's 5, 6, 7, 10 of us. Come on, what we want. We'll negotiate together. Always better. Okay. Strength. It's always better to have collective strength, especially from a point of negotiation. Okay. Bring farmers in the formal credit system. Like I told you, you don't want them to go to the local shady fellow asking for cash to buy his input cost products. Okay. Never, in fact. That's why the government has focused on so much of, say, rural credit. Because the more the farmer is leveraged in the hands of that person, then how is this, all of this is moot, no? The decision making will be guided by that person. If you owe money to someone to the point that you have to take your life, which happens in many states, which used to happen, or in fact happens till now, you know that the situation was dire, that mentally the person was broken, which is why the person committed suicide. Okay? So this is what is essential, that get them from the clutches of that person, bring them in the formal credit system, let them have a secure way of going about the whole agricultural produce and how they want to go ahead. Okay, don't let them be vulnerable in the hands of some other person. So this is necessary. And obviously this, you need better seeds, you need high yield seeds that are nutritionally better. Okay, if you're looking for, say, what is the ideal seed? Well, it should be high yield variety. It should be nutritionally fortified. Okay, and it should be, as far as possible, it should look to less water, in fact, less resources. If a seed has these three, obviously, when you look at the kind of seeds that we have in India, this doesn't happen, all of them. And at the same time, fortified against, say, climate changes. It should be able to be resistant to, say, change in climatic conditions. That suddenly, if drought comes, it should be able to resist and work like when the climate is such. Okay, that kind of, it's the ideal seed that I'm talking about. It doesn't happen, no. All the seeds will not fulfill all of these criteria. So, but continuous research and innovation is being done. Where is it being done? Just near Old Rajinder Nagar in New Delhi. In fact, just the next metro station only. Okay, you have the Indian Council for Agricultural Research, that is in Pusa, New Delhi, that extensively works. So you must have heard of all of these, no? Pusa, Arhar 16 and all of these terms. Yes, Pusa, Arhar 16. Okay, all of these, so many varieties are released by the ICAR. What essentially they are doing is researching, innovating, figuring out what type of seed is needed where in the country, what type of seed will respond best to the type of soil that is there in the country. It's a lot of intricate research that they do. Okay, so this is happening. But more and more needs to be done, because again, you're looking at climate change. Unless you again prepare the agriculture for climate change, your and my fate is sealed. Okay, 140 crore, if you don't feed them, after that, it's all bets are off. Whatever happens, you never know. So you require food security to be #1 priority for any country, let alone India. Okay. All right. So now that I've given you this whole detailed discussion on agriculture, we have discussed Rabi, Kharif, all of the gyan that I've given you today. After that gyan, now give me the answer to this. Again, it's a previous year question, I believe from the year 2021. I think it's a previous year question from 2021. So have a look and let me know of the answer in the chat box very quickly. Guys, may I request you quickly, guys? Yes, answers please. The key word here to identify in this question, in which of the following may be considered as public investment? You have to understand what a public investment is first. What is a public investment? Essentially, public investment is something in which if you give money, some sort of public infrastructure is created, some physical infrastructure is created. You build a bridge, public investment. Build a flyover, public investment. Okay. So, this is the key term here. Look at it. This question looks like a question from agriculture, no? Essentially, it is to do with economics. It is to understand whether you understand this particular concept of economics. Because if you know this is quite easy. Okay, it's relatively just straightforward. So now tell me, where are you finding that public infrastructure is being created? Which alls? Number 2, computerization of these societies. Public infrastructure being created. You're providing them computer system, optical network, fiber network, mouse, keyboard, all of that coming out of government money. You and I paid taxes. Now the credit societies are getting computer connection. So public infrastructure created. Yes. Okay. Social capital development, obviously. Yes. Setting up of cold storage. Yes. Physical infrastructure being created, which means your answer is C. All the others are essentially government interventions, guys. No physical infrastructure is created. These are called interventions by the government to make sure that you empower our farmers. This helps the farmers get empowered, but it is not considered public investment. Good answer, Rajan Kumar. Bahut acha. Well done. Okay. So this is again how you approach the understanding. Don't look at questions just from the topic that it has been asked. Find out the keyword in the question and your question shall stand answered. Good. Thank you. Thank you for all those of you who took time out to join today, and it was very nice. So before we go on to the second topic, well, I have a small announcement, 30 seconds. Take your water, have a sip of your chai meanwhile. CSAT 2023 paper. On record, one of the most difficult papers that I have seen. Okay. That evening when I was discussing on the StudyIQ channel, the CSAT discussion, just after the prelims, that didn't set in that, okay, English was moderate to difficult, but the rest of the paper was, wow, quite a lot. I can understand. Which is why now a renewed thrust by every student has to be paid in making sure that you are equally prepared for paper 2, for CSAT. Okay. Especially for those who are from, say, non-science backgrounds, non-engineering backgrounds. So herein what we have done is, StudyIQ IAS English has done is, come up with an English-only course. Okay. You have 100 classes dividing across the sections, reading comprehension, maths, reasoning. All content delivery in English. The classes beginning on the 30th of June every evening. And what we're looking to do is give you the end-to-end preparation of CSAT. That next year, there should be no such topic that you do not or are uncomfortable with. Or at least arm you with a strategy insofar as you are able to, say, cross 90 to 100 marks easily in paper 2. So for that, again, this is the special course that is launching on the 30th of June. And if you were to use this particular code, BA Live, well, you get it for what, 10,000 rupees off. Yes. So probably you can give me a laddu for 10,000 rupees off for using this code. Okay. But on a serious note, do consider joining. It will help you a lot. I will be in charge of the reading comprehension classes. I'll be taking a look at all of that. If you'd like to see my previous lectures of reading comprehension as to how I have taught reading comprehension, you can head over to StudyIQ English channel. Okay. And in the playlist, you will find my whole playlist of the CSAT classes that I have taken. See if you like my method of teaching, if you understand what I'm doing, and if you appreciate that CSAT also has to be taken from a scientific perspective. not from a gut feeling perspective, then go ahead and consider joining this particular course. All right. Now we come to the second topic of the day, something to do with aerial survey in southern Bihar districts. 4 districts of Bihar: Aurangabad, Jamui, Nalanda, and one more. I always forget that district, but okay, 4 districts in Bihar, okay, where this remote sensing is going to be done, and they are looking to identify magnetite bearing rocks or ultramafic rocks. Terms again that you should know. What are magnetite rocks? What are ultramafic rocks? Okay. Don't be surprised next year if suddenly chemistry is also asked. Okay. Anything can happen in terms of UPSC. All bets are off. Like I told you that evening only, there is no method to this madness anymore. All you need to do is be well prepared, cover from multiple sources, be armed with analysis, especially if you're just not looking at UPSC from a prelims perspective, because clearing prelims is no good if you can't clear mains. Okay. So analyze everything, have that opinion, be a very discerning individual, and then you will find results come. So number 1, magnetite bearing rocks. The name suggests, as it does, that it contains magnetite. Now what exactly is magnetite? Well, the name gives it away, magnet. So essentially it is do with something with magnets. And here is magnetite, by the way. This is a magnetite. Okay, a black opaque rock and a magnetic mineral. Okay, it exhibits magnetic properties. It hosts valuable minerals such as chromite, nickel, the platinum group of elements, and gold, which is why it is important. Look at the minerals that it contains. All of them have large monetary value. Okay, and magnetite occurs in its massive form. It's called lodestone. Make a note of this, guys. Lodestone. Magnetite, when it's in a bigger form, it is called lodestone. Okay, so this is magnetite, and quickly look at ultramafic now. So what are ultramafic rocks? Igneous, volcanic origin. If you know something is volcanic origin, straight away you know the rest of the story for ultramafic rocks. So look at it firstly. Associated with deep-seated mantle processes. So if you are able to study ultramafic rocks, you are able to understand what is happening deep down in the mantle of the earth. Okay, which is why they are igneous. All story, no? There's nothing you have to remember as such. Dark colored minerals rich in iron and magnesium. Okay, contain less silica, composed mainly of minerals such as olivine and pyroxene. Obviously, pyro, fire, they are found in the mantle, makes sense. The igneous rocks make sense. Olivine, again to do with the color that it is. Often found in areas where tectonic plates are converging, which is why igneous again, guys, which is why they are less in silica. Okay, less in silica. Does the mantle contain silica? No, not a lot, in fact. Straight away, you know the answer. Sial Sima is in the crust. Okay? All right. So now that this has been done, do make a note of this, guys, because questions are normally asked of say, rocks. Or expect. It's to do with geology, it's to do with geography, it's to do with so many things. You know, the economic potential of this. If I want to discuss this in detail, it's another 45 minutes that I'll take. Okay? But then there's no point, because the factual analysis of this is fine. The mains analysis of what one does after they find rocks in a particular state, will deal with that in due course. Okay? All right. Now that that has been done, that brings to the end of this particular class. Once again, if you did like this topic, this whole analysis, please leave me a like, guys, because, well, students do, at least in a limited amount, are connecting, but the likes are not growing. So please appreciate my efforts and leave me a like at least. And on that note, I will see you tomorrow. If you did like this class, consider subscribing to my Telegram channel, and also to StudyIQ English IAS, as every morning from 8 to 9, we look at 2-3 topics, but in depth. Provide you with the best start to the day, you know. And that is it for the day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning again at 8 a.m. Thank you, Dichenangmo. Thank you, Coder SD. And I shall see you both, hopefully, tomorrow morning at 8. Till then, take care, stay safe, have a good day.